Welcome to the West Michigan Real Estate and Home Show. My name is Bob Reid, and thanks for joining us. We have an exciting show for you this week. In just a few seconds, we'll bring you up to date on the latest real estate news and information, which affects you, your family, your home finances, and your everyday lives. Then we'll talk to one of West Michigan's most accomplished mortgage and home financial experts, John Eisenbart from North Point Bank. John will give you some wonderful advice on where mortgage rates are and the best options for financing or refinancing your home in the current real estate market. Next, we'll bring you up to date on the current market environment. Everybody's first curiosity is always, how's the market? We'll give you a snapshot of where the real estate market is right now. Then we'll present a segment you will not want to miss. Most people are enthralled by luxury real estate. We'll take you inside an absolutely gorgeous $1 million plus luxury estate right here in West Michigan. You will not want to miss that breathtaking property. It is must-see. Finally, I'll share some thoughts on how you can take full advantage of the current real estate market to help you circumnavigate the roadblocks preventing potential sellers from moving up to their next home, and some professional guidance and advice for those frustrated home buyers out there looking to buy their next home. But first, let's bring you up to date. Cybersecurity breaches are rampant, and your next real estate transaction is a huge target for cyber criminals. In the last 12 months, there were a total of 4,100 disclosed data breaches. There were countless breaches which were not disclosed. So how safe is your personal information? Things like your birth date, your Social Security ID, your driver's license, your credit and debit cards, the passwords to your accounts. Those 4,100 breaches amounted to a massive $22 billion being affected from data information being exposed to criminals. Here's the 5-alarm fire. Companies on average took 277 days to identify their data breach and then implement the fix to prevent further breaches. 277 days. You are at risk. Don't think you're not. At a very minimum, keep your antivirus software updated and install a VPN, a virtual private network for your personal cybersecurity. Most antivirus protection software programs come with a VPN, but a VPN is generally a separate installation. So make sure you take the additional step of installing the VPN on your computer and all your devices. Here's how your real estate transaction can be seriously affected. Criminals are specifically targeting real estate because, in the majority of cases, it is the biggest transaction of your entire life, and therefore it's a huge financial windfall for the cyber criminals. It's so easy to identify an active real estate transaction. All the criminals need do is go to any MLS and check the pending transaction, properties which have sold but not yet closed. They then hack into the real estate agent's emails to see which title company is closing the transaction and the closing timeline. As the date of closing draws near, the cyber criminals steal the title company's logo, they design a professional-looking email template, and send it to the home buyer and their mortgage lender with wiring instructions for the closing funds. And bingo, the criminal's bank account has just received a massive deposit of $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 or more. So make sure you verify any and all electronic communications in relation to your next home purchase. Otherwise, you could lose your home and your life savings. Now here's a heartwarming story. Over the last 20 years, the number of families with children under 18 has steadily fallen. Pets are now influencing home buying decisions in a big way. With the increased share of pets in households and the additional spending on those fur babies, many home buyers are placing their pets as the most important factor when making home buying decisions. Considerations such as proximity to the vet, an outdoor recreational space for pets, is vitally important for many of the home buying pet lovers. In recognition of the need for the family pets, many apartment complexes have also relaxed the rules regarding pets. So if your pet is an important part of your family, you should make it a point to ask your potential apartment complex if they accept pets if you're thinking of renting. Most apartment complexes do charge an additional fee for each pet and may also limit the number of pets they allow. Up next, we'll talk to John Eisenbart from North Point Bank on your best mortgage options.
We live in a world where service is almost extinct, and we all yearn for the business world to come to the realization that without their customers, they're out of business. At North Point Bank, John Eisenbart gets back to impeccable mortgage values that help families grow, where buying a home is made easier. John Eisenbart takes the time to get to know you and your home ownership aspirations and makes the mortgage process simple. You can achieve your goal of finding your dream home at North Point Bank. Start by finding out how much you can afford and get a free pre-approval with no obligation. And pretty soon you'll be having fun in your own backyard before you know it. Trust John Eisenbart at North Point Bank. Apply online at johneisenbart.com.
John Eisenbart is a long-established mortgage professional here in West Michigan. He's with North Point Bank. I've known John for a good number of years and have trusted him more than once with my personal mortgage needs. But more importantly, I trust him implicitly in representing the best interests of my real estate clients. John, everybody's first question is always, how's the market? But before we get to the real estate and mortgage market right now today, give us your take on what the mortgage market has done over the past 3 months.
So January was really slow. It wasn't really slow in the way of we didn't have anybody applying. However, it was slow as far as people actually getting contracts accepted and things like that. Now we're getting more contracts in. However, we're starting to see where there's multiple offers on houses. Just the other day, we had a client who bidded $35,000 over the price. And we're not talking about a large price either. It was $150,000, and she bid $185,000. She lost out. There were 28 offers on that house. So right now, if you can get an offer accepted, this is the best time.
Okay, where are rates today, and where do you see the rates heading over the next couple of months?
Well, rates fluctuate quite a bit, but I can tell you 2 weeks ago we were in the 7s. Yesterday when I looked at the rates, depending on the terms and things like that, we were mid to high 6s. So the experts are saying, every podcast I've been listening to and articles that I've been reading, they're saying that rates are going to fall by the end of the year. And we'll probably end up somewhere in the 5s, low 5s, maybe high 4s, which would be great. So we feel that rates will probably come down.
John, so far this year, the real estate market is down somewhere around 25% this year from where the market was at this time last year. The spring market is already here. Seasonally, the spring market is the prime selling and buying period of the year. What are you experiencing right now? I presume mortgage activity has picked up. Is that what you're seeing?
I'm seeing mortgage activity is through the roof right now, all over the country, because I do loans in many states. Where do I see it heading? I'm hoping that we can get some more inventory on the market, because that will help with people with getting their offers accepted. So I think 2023 will be a good, strong year. However, I'm an optimist.
Many sellers traditionally misjudge the timing of the spring market. The perception is that the peak selling time is May, June. And I always tell my clients if they leave putting their house on the market until May, they're missing the real heat of the spring market. In a traditional real estate market, which we're somewhat back to right now, the spring market tends to fall off a cliff on the Memorial Day weekend, so much so that traditionally the third slowest month of the year is July. We're not fully back to a normal market just yet, but where do you see the market heading this year?
if you're able to get an offer accepted, this is the time to buy. I think if you're listing a house, this is the time to list it. And you're right, July it falls off, and then about September when the kids start going back to school, then you see a peak, in my opinion, until November, till the end of November. The only difference might be is if you remember COVID, we had pent up demand. But yeah, traditionally speaking, July is a slow month.
John, since the mortgage meltdown of 2008-9, home buyers and sellers are running scared of ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages. It was those toxic ARM products that were largely the catalyst for the Great Recession. Dodd-Frank removed the toxicity from adjustable rate mortgages to the point where mortgage borrowers shouldn't have too many concerns anymore with ARMs. In fact, there are some great mortgage products available that can lock in a far lower interest rate than most conventional fixed-rate mortgages, which can save borrowers hundreds, if not possibly even thousands, in their monthly mortgage payments.
Sometimes you can save as much as a point on an ARM. From fixed to ARM. It just really depends on credit score and things like that. So it's not always the best. It's for a certain borrower. So if there's a high credit score and things like that. So it's not a huge difference. Now, we also have rate buy downs. The way the buy down works is you buy down the rate for 2 years, and it actually goes down a whole 2 points, and then it goes up another point, and then another point, and then it goes back to the rate where it was within 2 years or 3 years. But ARMs aren't toxic anymore.
Jonathan Eisenbart with North Point Bank. John, thanks so much.
We live in a world where service is almost extinct, and we all yearn for the business world to come to the realization that without their customers, they're out of business. At North Point Bank, John Eisenbart gets back to impeccable mortgage values that help families grow, where buying a home is made easier. John Eisenbart takes the time to get to know you and your home ownership aspirations and makes the mortgage process simple. You can achieve your goal of finding your dream home at North Point Bank. Start by finding out how much you can afford and get a free pre-approval with no obligation. And pretty soon you'll be having fun in your own backyard before you know it. Trust John Eisenbart at North Point Bank. Apply online at johneisenbart.com.
As you just heard from John Eisenbart, mortgage rates are fluctuating. As of now, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage stands at around 6.4%. Rates have ticked up slightly, but the uptick is hardly noticeable at 0.05%. The good news is that inflation is easing. The Federal Reserve is likely to pause its rate hikes very soon. At the current rate of around 6.4%, the typical home buyer can afford to purchase a home up to $380,000 with 20% down. Around 45% of listings are in that price range. The median down payment for home buyers over the last 12 months is 14%, which means those with a 14% down payment can afford to buy a home priced up to $355,000. Now, what you need to take into account is that homes in those price ranges are selling way over list price. So, if you're looking at a $355,000 purchase, you may need to search homes from $300,000 to $325,000. If you can afford to buy up to $380,000, for example, your home search should be, say, $320,000 to $350,000. And you can count on competing with other buyers in an environment of multiple offers. Talk to your realtor to devise your winning strategy. There are ways you can sweeten your offer to stand above the crowd in order to have your offer accepted. You might be encouraged to know that the average home price across West Michigan stands at $336,140. In Kent County, that price is a touch higher at $341,444. In Ottawa County, because of the high cost of lakeshore property, the average home price is $385,890, but still within the average home buyer's range of affordability. If your home search is in Muskegon, Newaygo, or Montcalm counties, average home prices there are way down to around $230,000. That's incredibly affordable for the majority of West Michigan home buyers. Remember, supply and demand is the name of the game. We are in a market where housing inventory is literally at its lowest point in our history, and that drives up prices dramatically. To give you a comparative idea of just how tight housing inventory is right now, in what would be considered a normal, neutral real estate market, not favoring either buyers or sellers, there would be a supply of around 6 months inventory. Right now, in Kent County, for example, there's less than a 3-week supply. And that's the same in Barry and Muskegon counties. In Allegan, Ionia, Montcalm, Newaygo, and Ottawa counties, supply is only marginally better at an average of 5 to 6 weeks, not months, 5 to 6 weeks, which is still a long way from the inventory supply of 6 months. The good news is that the West Michigan real estate market is one of the most affordable housing markets of any market anywhere in the United States. I know that's little consolation when you're in the frustrating position of repeatedly having your offers rejected, but with a little patience and the right strategy, you will eventually secure the home of your dreams. Don't give up and stay the course. Now, a word of advice for sellers. I know you're reluctant to give up your comfortable 3% interest rates, so you're holding off listing your house. As you've just heard from John Eisenbart at North Point Bank, adjustable rate mortgages are no longer the toxic mortgage product they once were during the Great Recession. I'll give you 2 suggestions. Shop around for an ARM to get your rate way down for 2 or 3 years. And during that time, it is expected that fixed-rate mortgage rates will be back down to a great rate similar to the rate you have now, and then you can refinance. So, with a little imagination, coupled with investigation and research, you can take full advantage of escalating home prices in the sale of your current home. Now, you will pay a little more for your next home, but remember, you're continuing to build wealth as your home value grows. Now, the other option you have is to buy down your rate. I say this to clients all the time. Talking costs nothing. Have a chat with your financial institution, find an accomplished mortgage expert like John Eisenbart, and get some professional guidance and advice so you can make a decision from a position of strength. Again, talking costs nothing. Do your homework and then decide which way to jump. Up next, this is a great segment you won't want to miss. We'll take you inside a stunning $1.5 million luxury home right here in West Michigan. It's absolutely gorgeous. Stay with us. Let me leave you with some professional guidance and advice. Firstly, for those homeowners who are looking at the market wanting to list their home, but are somewhat reluctant because they don't want to lose their 3% mortgage rate. Now, I'm going to preempt this by saying that I'm not sharing the story with you to impress you, but to impress upon you the importance of planning and strategizing with an experienced and accomplished realtor with a great track record of success. I say this to my real estate clients all the time. There are around 3,600 real estate agents in Grand Rapids alone. Finding a real estate agent is as easy as falling off a log. However, finding a good real estate agent, well, it's a whole nother story. You might be interested to know that 93% of the real estate business is done by a mere 7% of the agents out there. Think about that. That means that a whopping 93% of agents are sharing in a minute amount of the business that's left. And that's only 7% of the real estate transactions. A lot of real estate agents are making less than they otherwise would by flipping burgers. Having said that, it's also a factual statistic that of those sellers with no previous agent or those not happy with their previous agent, 80% of home sellers list their home with the first agent they interview. Now consider this. Those that list with the first agent through the door stand a 93% chance of listing their home with an agent whose track record of success is at best questionable. So, here's the story I'm going to share with you. Last year, I was able to sell one of my listings for $111,000 over list price. That financial achievement wasn't a fluke or by accident. It was a planned strategy. My clients had only bought the house 11 months earlier, but because of a career relocation, they needed to turn around and sell the home they purchased less than a year ago. I did represent them as buyers for this home at that time, and we negotiated what was a very favorable purchase price. They bought the home for $760,000. 11 months later, after analyzing and thoroughly researching the market to pinpoint current market value, my professional opinion indicated the home was now worth around $867,000. Extraordinary appreciation. A good agent's job is to be able to effectively read the market from a position of in-depth knowledge, coupled with a solid expert research, and that takes experience. At that time, we were in an exceptionally hot seller's market, as we are now. There are different market-driven strategies an agent can implement. The traditional way to price a property is to determine current market value and price the home a little above market value. There are other pricing strategies, but for expediency, I'll jump straight to the strategy I recommended to my seller clients. I urged them to underprice the property at $829,000. I also disclosed to them there were possible risks involved which could potentially cause the house to sell for less than the current market value of $867,000. That strategy to price at $829,000 would drive high buyer demand, secondly, affect a high number of showings, and thirdly, our goal was to generate multiple offers to escalate the sales price. All objectives were achieved. We had approximately 30 showings in 3 days and produced 5 offers, all well over list price, one of which was as high as $980,000, which was $151,000 above list price. Oddly enough, my professional guidance and advice to my clients was not to accept the $980,000 offer, but instead go with the next offer of $940,000. Now, your reaction in hearing the story is obviously, "Are you crazy?" Here's the reason. There was a caveat on the higher offer which indicated to me that the offer was somewhat shaky. There was also no way that the property would appraise at $980,000, and unless the buyer was willing to guarantee to cover what's called the appraisal gap, the difference between where the buyer's lender's appraiser would appraise the property and what the buyer was offering. the deal would simply fall apart. In other words, if the buyer wasn't willing to come up with the cash to cover that price versus value shortfall, there could be no deal. Let's say the bank's appraiser valued the property at $900,000, and the bank's loan-to-value ratio was 80%. That means the bank would fund 80% of $900,000, which is $720,000. The buyer would therefore have to come up with $260,000 to bring to close, and for most people, that's prohibitive. On the other hand, the agent representing the $940,000 buyers was a long-established, highly professional agent who knew her stuff, and the offer was put together with an incredibly impressive and compelling strategy. It was clearly the most attractive offer. So, the house sold for $111,000 above list price, and those buyers were willing to come up with the shortfall between appraised value and the purchase price. The house escalated in value by $180,000 in just 11 months, which represents 24% appreciation. To give you a comparative insight into property appreciation in Grand Rapids in a traditional market, in that price range, it's typical to see annual appreciation of between 2 and 4%. So 24% appreciation in just 11 months is staggering. So here's the moral of the story. Don't be one of the 80% of sellers without a pre-existing agent relationship who fall into the trap of grabbing the first agent through the door. The presumption being that all agents are the same. Nothing could be further from the truth. Generally, your home is the biggest investment of your entire life. Doesn't it make sense to make sure you take the time to interview more than one agent and check their personal credentials and track record of success? I would suggest it will represent a valuable use of your time and quite probably put more money in your pocket from the net proceeds in the sale of your home. The wisdom in following that advice is all about high return on your investment. And by the way, the same goes for buyers. Make sure you appoint an agent to represent you that genuinely and sincerely represents your best interests in the achievement of both your real estate and financial goals. Well, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching the West Michigan Real Estate and Home Show. I hope you found the time we've spent together worthwhile. Let me leave you with some gorgeous spring flowers. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time.